Admiral Ziktar stood on the command bridge of his massive warship, the Sovereign's Wrath. Through the wide viewing screen, he watched another world burn. Orange flames danced across the surface of the planet below as his fleet's weapons finished their work. This was the 47th star system to fall under Corethian rule, and it had taken only 6 hours from start to finish. The Admiral's forearms moved with practiced grace as he reviewed the battle reports on his control panel. Each finger ended in sharp claws that clicked against the metal surface. His purple skin gleamed under the bridge lights, and his large black eyes showed no emotion as he read about the destruction below. Admiral, his second-in-command, approached with measured steps. Commander Velthus was younger than Ziktar, but followed the same military traditions that had made the Corethian Empire the greatest power in the galaxy. The enemy fleet has been destroyed. Their champion fell in single combat after 14 minutes. The planet surrenders. Ziktar nodded slowly. As expected. These creatures fought with some skill, but they lacked proper understanding of warfare. They sent 12 ships against our 20. They chose their weakest warrior as champion. They did not even attempt orbital bombardment before the surface battle began. The bridge crew worked quietly around them. Each Corethian officer wore the deep blue uniform of the Imperial fleet. Gold symbols on their shoulders showed their rank and the number of worlds they had conquered. Ziktar's uniform carried more gold than anyone else on the ship. He had served the Empire for over 60 years and had never lost a battle. "Send word to the Imperial Council," Ziktar ordered. "System 47 now belongs to the Empire. Begin the standard occupation procedures. Spare those who fought with honor. Execute those who used cowardly tactics." Commander Velthus bowed his head. "It will be done, Admiral. Our scouts report no other enemy fleets within 10 light years. This sector appears to be fully under our control." Ziktar walked to the large star map that dominated one wall of the bridge. Tiny lights showed the location of every Corethian world. Blue lights marked the original Empire worlds. Green lights showed recent conquests. Red lights indicated targets for future expansion. The map stretched across a vast area of space, but Ziktar knew it represented only a small part of the galaxy. "What? News from the outer scouts?" he asked. "3 new species have been located," Velthus replied, reading from his datapad. 2 appear to be pre-space flight civilizations. The 3rd has achieved basic interstellar travel, but shows no signs of military organization. "Excellent. We will deal with them in due time. The Empire grows stronger with each world we add." Ziktar traced one clawed finger along the edge of Corethian space. "Our ancestors would be proud to see how far we have expanded the realm." The Corethian Empire had rules for war that had worked for 3,000 years. When 2 fleets met in space, they would first exchange formal challenges. Each side would present their best warrior for single combat. The winner of that fight would earn the right to attack first. Then the fleets would engage in organized battle, with specific rules about which weapons could be used and which tactics were considered honorable. Most enemy civilizations understood these rules once they were explained. Those who refused to follow proper military conduct were marked as barbarians and destroyed completely. Those who fought with honor were allowed to join the Empire as servant worlds. This system had brought peace to dozens of star systems and created the largest unified government in known space not far away from the Corethian fleet. Captain Lisa Morgan sat in the communications room of the Earthship U.E.S. Discovery. She was a small woman with short brown hair and tired eyes. For 6 months, her ship had been exploring the outer edge of human space, looking for signs of alien life. So far, they had found nothing but empty worlds and dead radio signals. "Captain," her communications officer called out. The young man's voice carried excitement. I'm picking up something strange. These aren't natural signals. Lisa moved quickly to his station. On the screen, she could see wave patterns that clearly showed intelligent design. Are you sure these are artificial? Positive, Captain. And there's more. I think I can make out language patterns. Give me a few minutes with the computer, and I might be able to start translating. Lisa felt her heart racing. First contact with an alien species was something humans had dreamed about for centuries. She opened a communication link to Earth immediately. Discovery to Earth Command. We may have found them. Request instructions for first contact procedures. The reply came back after several minutes. Discovery, this is General Frank Davis. Maintain safe distance and gather as much information as possible. Do not reveal your location or attempt direct contact without authorization. Record everything. For the next 4 hours, Lisa and her crew listened to alien radio transmissions. The computer slowly began to understand the language patterns. Words and phrases started to make sense. What they learned filled them with growing alarm. The aliens were discussing military operations. They talked about conquered worlds and planned attacks. They mentioned primitive species and debated which star systems to cleanse next. Most disturbing of all, they seemed to be moving toward the area of space where humans lived. Captain, the communications officer said quietly, I think they're talking about us. They mention a star system that matches our location. They're calling it unexplored territory with possible intelligent life. Lisa closed her eyes and took a deep breath. Send everything we've recorded to Earth Command. Full emergency transmission. Tell them we have a problem. On Earth, General Davis stood in the war room beneath the Pentagon. Around him, military leaders from every nation studied the reports from the Discovery. The translated alien communications covered the walls on large screens. Davis was a tall man with gray hair and the bearing of someone who had spent his life preparing for war. Now, that preparation was about to be tested. How many ships do they have? Admiral Kate Bennett, commander of Earth's space fleet. Our best estimate is over 200 vessels, replied Colonel Steve Parker, head of military intelligence. Their technology appears to be significantly advanced. Energy weapons, faster than light travel, some kind of protective shields. President Maria Gonzalez entered the room with her security team. She was younger than most world leaders, but had earned respect through her calm handling of several international crises. General Davis, what are our options? Davis pointed to the star map. The alien fleet is approximately 2 weeks away at their current speed. We have 47 ships in our defensive fleet, plus various smaller vessels. Our technology is different from theirs, but we don't know if it's better or worse. Do we try to communicate with them? The president asked. We could try, Davis replied, but based on their radio traffic, they don't seem interested in peaceful contact. They talk about conquest and submission. They appear to have done this many times before. Admiral Bennett stepped forward. Madam, President, I recommend we prepare for the worst-case scenario. If they want to fight, we need to be ready. The room fell silent as everyone considered the implications. Humanity's first contact with alien life might also be humanity's first interstellar war. President Gonzalez looked around the room at the faces of her military leaders. These were people who had spent their careers planning for conflicts on Earth. Now they faced something far beyond their experience. Begin preparations, she ordered. Alert all military commands. Activate the deep space monitoring stations. And someone get me Captain Morgan on a secure channel. I want to know everything about these aliens. In space, Captain Lisa Morgan continued to monitor alien communications. The enemy fleet was moving steadily toward human space. Soon, they would be close enough to detect Earth's radio signals. When That happened, humanity would no longer be alone in the universe. The question was whether humans would survive the introduction. Sub-Admiral Morthic commanded 12 Corethian vessels as they entered the outer edge of human space. His ship, the Honor's Edge, was smaller than Admiral Zektar's flagship, but still impressive by galactic standards. The silver hull gleamed under the light of distant stars, and its weapons systems hummed with contained energy. Morthic was young for a Corethian commander, having earned his position through skill in single combat rather than years of service. His purple skin was darker than most of his kind, and his forearms moved with the fluid grace of a trained warrior. He had studied the military traditions of 47 conquered species and had never encountered anything that challenged Corethian superiority. Sub-Admiral, his scanner officer reported, "We are detecting artificial signals from the third planet of this system. The transmissions suggest an industrial civilization with basic space travel capability." Morthic nodded as he reviewed the data on his command screen. The signals showed typical patterns for a young spacefaring race. Radio communications, primitive computer networks, and what appeared to be several orbital stations. Nothing that would challenge a proper military force. "Have they detected our presence?" Morthic asked. "Unknown, Sub-Admiral. Their scanning technology appears limited. However, we are receiving some focused transmissions that may indicate awareness of our fleet." Morthic considered his options according to standard Corethian protocol. First, he would announce his presence and demand to speak with their military leaders. Then he would explain the terms of surrender and give them time to consider. If they refused, he would demonstrate Corethian superiority with a limited strike against a military target. Most species chose submission after seeing what Corethian weapons could do. "Open communications on all frequencies," he ordered, broadcasting in their primary language. The translation computers had worked for several hours to decode human speech patterns. Morthic's words were converted into English and transmitted toward Earth. "Primitive species of the third planet. I am Sub-Admiral Morthic of the Corethian Imperial Fleet. Your star system now falls under the authority of the Corethian Empire. Prepare your military leaders for negotiation of surrender terms." The response came back within minutes, much faster than Morthic had expected. A clear human voice spoke in firm tones. "This is Admiral Kate Bennett of the United Earth Defense Force. You are in human space without permission. State your intentions or leave immediately." Morthic's large black eyes widened with surprise. In his experience, primitive species usually responded with fear or confusion when first contacted by the Empire. They asked questions about Corethian technology or begged for mercy. They did not make demands or claim ownership of space. "Admiral Bennett," Morthic replied, "you misunderstand your situation. The Corethian Empire has conquered 47 star systems. Your species will join the Empire as a servant world, or you will be destroyed. These are your only options. I offer you the honor of single combat to determine the terms of your surrender." Another pause, then Admiral Bennett's voice returned. "Sub-Admiral Morthic, this is human space. We do not recognize your Empire's authority here. Leave now, or we will consider your presence an act of war." Morthic looked around his bridge at his officers. Several of them showed signs of confusion. Commander Jexival, his second in command, approached with careful steps. "Sub-Admiral, there?" Response does not follow standard protocols. They refuse both surrender and the honor of single combat. How should we proceed? Morthic studied the tactical display that showed human space activity. Several small vessels were moving between the planets and orbital stations. Their technology looked crude compared to Corethian designs, but they seemed organized and purposeful. "We will demonstrate Corethian superiority," Morthic decided. Select a military target for limited bombardment. Something important enough to show our power, but not so large as to eliminate their ability to surrender. His tactical officer highlighted several options on the screen. Sub-Admiral, there is a large installation in the asteroid belt between the 4th and 5th planets. It appears to be a mining and construction facility with significant infrastructure. Destroying it would show our capabilities without causing massive loss of life. Excellent choice. The honorable path is to give them a chance to see reason. Morthic activated the ship's communication system again. Admiral Bennett, we will now demonstrate why resistance is futile. One of your installations will be destroyed to show Corinthian power. After you witness this, you will have 1 hour to begin surrender negotiations. Captain Alex Turner was reviewing mining reports in his office when the alarms began to sound. Throughout Omega-7 Station, the mining platform was one of Earth's largest industrial facilities, employing over 3,000 workers and producing materials for the growing space fleet. Alex had commanded the station for 5 years and had never experienced a real emergency. Captain Turner to control room. He spoke into his communicator. What's the situation? The voice of his operations chief, Paula Wright, came back immediately. Captain, we have 12 unknown vessels approaching our position. They're big and they're armed. Earth Command is broadcasting warnings, but these ships aren't responding to standard communications. Alex moved quickly to the control room, where he found his senior staff gathered around the main display screen. The alien ships were clearly visible now, their silver hulls reflecting the light from the nearby sun. They moved in perfect formation, their weapon systems clearly active. Have we received any instructions from Earth Command? Alex asked. Yes, sir, Paula replied. General Davis ordered all civilian personnel to emergency shelters. Military personnel are to activate defensive protocols if attacked. Alex looked around the control room at his people. Most of them were engineers and miners, not soldiers. But Omega-7 had been built with the possibility of conflict in mind. Hidden weapons, reinforced sections, and emergency procedures that no one had ever expected to use. Ladies and gentlemen, Alex announced over the station's communication system, we have unwanted visitors. All civilian personnel report to emergency shelters immediately. All department heads implement Crisis Protocol 7. This is not a drill. The first Corinthian energy beam struck Omega-7's main power generator. The blast was precisely aimed to disable the facility without destroying it completely. Emergency lights activated throughout the station as backup power systems took over. The attack had been carefully planned to demonstrate superior technology while minimizing casualties. But Captain Turner did not respond as Sub-Admiral Morthic had expected. Instead of opening communications to discuss surrender, the human station began to fight back. Paula Wright had spent 10 years as a military engineer before joining the mining service. As the alien weapons struck their facility, she immediately began implementing procedures that had never been tested in real combat. All mining equipment to emergency configuration, she ordered her teams. Construction mechs to defensive positions. Prepare explosive charges. The mining station transformed within minutes. Cargo haulers designed to move asteroids became improvised ramming vehicles. Industrial lasers meant for cutting rock were redirected toward the attacking ships. Construction mechs, normally used for building and repair work, were equipped with mining charges and sent on intercept courses toward the alien vessels. Alex Turner opened communications with the Corinthian fleet. This is Captain Turner of Omega-7. You want a demonstration of power? Here's ours. The first mining mech reached a Corinthian vessel and detonated its cargo of industrial explosives against the ship's hull. The blast was much larger than Morthic had expected. His tactical officer reported damage to the vessel's shield generators. Sub-Admiral, Commander Jexiville said with obvious confusion, They are using their industrial equipment as weapons. This is not standard military procedure. More mining equipment struck Corethian ships. The humans were not fighting according to any recognized military doctrine. They used suicide attacks, improvised weapons, and tactics that seemed designed to cause maximum damage regardless of cost. Hollerite initiated her final emergency protocol. Captain, I can overload the main fusion reactor. The explosion will damage their ships, but it will destroy our station completely. Alex looked around the control room at his remaining crew. They were miners and engineers, not soldiers. But they were also human beings defending their home. Do it, he ordered. Explosion that destroyed Omega-7 was visible from Earth's surface. The station's fusion reactor released energy equivalent to a small star, creating a blast that damaged 2 Corethian vessels and forced the entire alien fleet to retreat to a safe distance. Sub-Admiral Morthic stood on his damaged bridge, trying to understand what had happened. The humans had sacrificed valuable infrastructure to damage his ships. They had used industrial equipment as weapons. They had shown no concern for military honor or proper combat procedures. Sub-Admiral, his communications officer, reported, "We are receiving a transmission from the human admiral." Admiral Bennett's voice filled the Corethian bridge. "Sub-Admiral Morthic, you have attacked a civilian installation and killed innocent people. This act of war will not be forgotten." Admiral Zeke-Tar received Sub-Admiral Morthic's report with growing concern. He stood in his private quarters aboard the Sovereign's Wrath, studying the battle data from the human encounter. The tactical displays showed something that troubled him deeply. The humans had fought without following any recognizable military doctrine. "Computer, replay the engagement sequence," Zeke-Tar commanded. The holographic display showed the attack on the human mining station. Zeke-Tar watched as the humans converted industrial equipment into weapons within minutes. He saw mining mechs loaded with explosives ram his ships like guided missiles. Most disturbing of all, he witnessed humans deliberately destroying their own valuable facility to damage Corethian vessels. Zek single quotes Tar had conquered 47 star systems using traditional Corethian warfare. Every enemy had eventually understood the rules of proper combat. Even the most aggressive species had learned to respect military honor and the established protocols of galactic warfare. But these humans seemed to operate by completely different principles. He activated the communication system to contact the Imperial Council on the home world. The transmission would take several hours to reach Corethia Prime, but the Council needed to understand the situation. "Imperial Council, this is Admiral Zeke-Tar reporting on the human situation. The enemy does not follow established military protocols. They use tactics that appear designed to cause maximum damage regardless of cost to themselves. I am bringing the full battle fleet to resolve this threat before it can spread to other sectors." 3 days later, Zeke-Tar assembled the largest Corethian military force in over 50 years. 200 warships gathered at the edge of human space, their silver hulls forming perfect geometric patterns against the darkness. Each vessel carried the finest warriors in the Empire, trained in the honored traditions of combat that had brought peace to the galaxy. Zeke-Tar stood on the bridge of his flagship, surrounded by his most experienced commanders. "Today we face an enemy that does not understand proper warfare," he announced to his fleet. "We will teach them the superiority of Corethian military doctrine. We will show them that chaos cannot defeat order." The massive fleet moved toward the human colony of New Haven, a world with over 2 million inhabitants. According to Corethian intelligence, it was an important agricultural and manufacturing center. Its capture would demonstrate human vulnerability and encourage quick surrender. On New Haven, Colonel Steve Parker received the alert from Earth Command with grim determination. He was a career soldier who had spent 20 years preparing for conflicts that might never happen. Now, facing an alien invasion with superior technology, he was grateful for every hour of training and planning. All units, this is Colonel Parker. He broadcast to his defensive forces. The alien fleet will reach our system in 6 hours. Implement Operation Hornet's Nest immediately. Remember, we don't need to win. We just need to make them pay for every inch. New Haven had been settled by humans for 30 years, but its defenses had been planned from the beginning. Hidden military installations were built into asteroid fields and disguised as mining operations. Underground bunkers contained supplies and weapons for extended resistance. Most importantly, the entire system had been designed to support unconventional warfare. Captain Beth Rodriguez commanded a squadron of 12 stealth fighters hidden in the asteroid belt. Her ships were small and fast, built for hit-and-run attacks rather than direct confrontation. She had studied every piece of data from the Omega-7 engagement, learning how the aliens fought and how they could be hurt. Dragon Squadron, this is Dragon Leader, she broadcast to her pilots. Remember, these aliens expect honorable combat. They want us to line up and fight fair. We're going to give them something else entirely. The Corinthian fleet arrived at New Haven in perfect battle formation. Admiral Ziktar's ships moved with precision and discipline, their weapons systems charging for the opening bombardment. According to standard protocol, he first broadcast terms for surrender. Inhabitants of the human colony, Ziktar's voice echoed across all communication frequencies. I am Admiral Ziktar of the Corinthian Imperial Fleet. Your system is now under Imperial authority. Surrender immediately, and your people will be treated with honor. Resist, and you will face the full power of the Empire. The response came from Colonel Parker on the planet's surface. Admiral Ziktar, this is Colonel Steve Parker, commanding officer of New Haven Defense Force. We reject your terms. This is human space, and we will defend it. Ziktar was not surprised by the refusal. Colonel Parker, I offer you the honor of single combat. Choose your best warrior to face our champion. If your warrior wins, we will withdraw. If our champion wins, you will surrender without further resistance. Colonel Parker's response was immediate. We don't do single combat, Admiral. If you want this world, you'll have to take it. The answer disturbed Ziktar. Every civilized species understood the importance of single combat in preventing unnecessary casualties. Without it, warfare became chaotic and unpredictable. He decided to proceed with a limited bombardment to demonstrate Corinthian superiority. All ships target the planet's defensive installations. Precision strikes only. We will show them our power, then offer surrender terms again. The Corinthian fleet began its attack with carefully aimed energy beams. Each shot was designed to disable specific targets while minimizing civilian casualties. This was warfare as the Empire understood it, precise and controlled. But the humans were not fighting by Corinthian rules. Captain Rodriguez launched her stealth fighters from hidden positions throughout the asteroid field. The small ships moved like angry insects, attacking from multiple directions at once. They didn't engage in honorable duels, but swarmed individual Corinthian vessels with coordinated strikes. Dragon Squadron, engage at will, Rodriguez ordered. Target their weapon systems and command centers. Make them hurt. The human fighters used tactics that violated every principle of proper space combat. They attacked from behind asteroids, used debris as cover, and coordinated their strikes to overwhelm enemy defenses. Instead of seeking glorious victory in single combat, they focused on causing maximum damage to the Corinthian fleet. Lieutenant Commander Tony Brooks led a wing of bombers equipped with experimental phase technology. The human weapons were designed to penetrate energy shields by shifting out of normal space for brief moments. It was dangerous technology that often failed, but when it worked, it allowed human weapons to strike targets that should have been protected. Bomber Wing Alpha, this is Alpha Leader, Brooks transmitted. We're going for their command ships. Ignore the escorts and hit the big targets. The bombers dove through the Corinthian formation like sharks through a school of fish. Their phased torpedoes flickered in and out of reality, bypassing shields and striking hull armor directly. Several Corinthian vessels suffered critical damage as human weapons found their mark. Admiral Zektar watched his tactical display with growing alarm. The human attacks came from everywhere at once. Ships that should have been hidden were revealing themselves as weapons platforms. Civilian installations were launching military strikes. The humans seemed to have turned their entire star system into one giant weapon. Admiral, Commander Velthus reported, we have lost 12 vessels and suffered damage to 30 more. The human fighters are using unconventional tactics. They attack in groups and retreat before we can respond effectively. On the planet's surface, Colonel Parker coordinated the defense from his underground command center. Banks of computer screens showed the space battle above, but his attention was focused on the larger strategy. The humans were not trying to defeat the Corinthian fleet in direct combat. Instead, they were making the aliens pay a high price for their invasion. All units maintain dispersed attack patterns, Parker ordered. Don't give them a clear target. Hit them from every direction and keep moving. Hidden weapons batteries throughout the system opened fire on the Corinthian fleet. What the aliens had thought were asteroid mining stations revealed themselves as missile platforms. Cargo ships shed their disguises and launched swarms of attack drones. Even the civilian orbital stations joined the fight, using improvised weapons. And ramming attacks. Captain Rodriguez pressed her attack on a Corinthian heavy cruiser. Her fighter squadron had already damaged the ship's shields, and now she was leading a final assault on its command section. Dragon Squadron, follow my lead. We're going to finish this one. The human fighters dove toward the alien vessel like arrows toward a target. The Corinthian ship tried to turn its main weapons toward them, but the small fighters were too fast and maneuverable. Rodriguez's fighter reached the enemy hull and released its entire payload of explosives directly against the command bridge. The Corinthian heavy cruiser shuddered and began to drift, its command systems destroyed. Admiral Zektar realized that his carefully planned assault was turning into a disaster. The humans fought without honor, without rules, and without any regard for proper military conduct. All ships withdraw to safe distance, Zektar ordered. Reluctantly, regroup for secondary assault. As the Corinthian fleet pulled back, Colonel Parker allowed himself a moment of satisfaction. Admiral Zektar stood before the massive, holographic display in the Imperial War Room on Corinthia Prime. The three-dimensional map showed the entire Corinthian Empire in glowing detail, with human space marked as a dangerous red zone at the edge of their territory. Around the table sat the 12 members of the Imperial High Command, their purple faces grave with concern. Admiral, spoke High Commander Nexthara, the eldest member of the Council, your reports about these humans are disturbing. In 3,000 years, no species has resisted our military doctrine so effectively. How do you explain these failures? Zektar's forearms moved nervously as he accessed the battle data. High Commander, the humans do not fight according to any recognized principles of warfare. They use suicide attacks, destroy their own property to damage our ships, and coordinate attacks from civilian installations. They seem to view all of their territory as a single weapon. Commander Kolbeth, head of Imperial Intelligence, leaned forward. Our analysts have studied human history through their communication broadcasts. They have fought thousands of wars among themselves, using increasingly destructive tactics. They appear to have no concept of honorable combat. The room fell silent as the implications sank in. The Korethian Empire had brought order to the galaxy by teaching other species the proper way to conduct warfare. Honor, discipline, and respect. For military tradition had created peace among dozens of worlds. But humans seemed to reject these fundamental principles. "What do you recommend, Admiral?" asked High Commander Nexthara. Zector straightened his tall frame. "We must demonstrate overwhelming force. I request authorization to assemble the largest battle fleet in Imperial history. 500 ships, including vessels from our allied worlds. We will crush human resistance so completely that no other species will dare to challenge Imperial authority." The council members exchanged glances. Such a massive deployment would strip defenses from other sectors and require enormous resources. But the alternative was allowing human tactics to spread to other species, potentially destroying the order that had brought peace to the galaxy. "Granted," High Commander Nexthara declared. "You will have every ship we can spare. End this threat before it can contaminate other worlds with its chaotic warfare." On Earth, General Frank Davis walked through the underground complex known as Deep Command. The facility had been built in secret over the past 20 years, carved into the rock, beneath the Rocky Mountains. It was here that humanity's greatest military secret was nearing completion. The general's footsteps echoed in the wide corridors as he made his way to the main observation deck. Through the massive reinforced windows, he could see the construction bay where the U.E.'s Leviathan was undergoing final preparations. The ship was enormous, larger than any vessel humans had ever built. Its dark hull seemed to absorb light rather than reflect it, giving the massive warship an ominous appearance. Captain Roy Mitchell stood beside the viewing window, studying technical displays on his portable computer. He was a veteran of 15 years in Space Command, chosen to lead humanity's most important military mission. His weathered face showed the strain of months of preparation for a battle that would determine the fate of his species. "Captain," General Davis said as he approached, "what's the status of our secret weapon?" Mitchell looked up from his computer. "All systems are online, General. The Leviathan is ready for combat operations. Our crew has trained for every possible scenario. We've studied every piece of data from the alien encounters and designed our tactics accordingly." The U.E.'s Leviathan was the result of humanity's most ambitious military project. Unlike alien warships designed for honorable combat, the Leviathan was built for one purpose: winning at any cost. Its weapon systems included kinetic projectiles that could be fired at near light speed, nuclear warheads modified for space combat, and experimental energy weapons reverse-engineered from captured alien technology. "The aliens expect us to fight, like other species they've conquered," Mitchell continued. "They want formal challenges, single combat, and organized fleet battles. We're going to give them something completely different." Commander Nancy Lopez, the ship's tactical officer, joined them at the viewing window. She was a small woman with intense eyes and a reputation for innovative thinking. For months, she had been developing combat strategies that would exploit human advantages while minimizing their technological disadvantages. "General," Lopez said, "our intelligence suggests the aliens are assembling their largest fleet ever. Over 500 ships, possibly more. They're planning to end this war with overwhelming force." Davis nodded grimly. "Then we'll need to hit them before they're ready." "Captain Mitchell, how soon can the Leviathan be deployed?" 48 hours, General. We're loading the final supply shipments now. The crew is ready, and all systems have been tested." The plan they had developed was ambitious and dangerous. The Leviathan would travel to the Proxima system, where human intelligence indicated the alien fleet was gathering. Instead of waiting for the aliens to attack Earth, humans would take the fight to them. It was a strategy that violated traditional military wisdom But humans had learned that traditional approaches would not work against the Carethian Empire in space near Proxima Centauri. Admiral Zektar watched as ship after ship arrived to join his massive fleet. Vessels from every corner of the Carethian Empire filled the space around the red dwarf star. Heavy battleships with gleaming silver hulls, fast cruisers designed for pursuit and capture, and support ships carrying supplies for an extended campaign that the sight filled Zektar with confidence. No enemy had ever faced such a concentration of military power. The humans would see this fleet and understand the futility of resistance. They would surrender, or they would be destroyed so completely that their fate would serve as a warning to other potential rebels. Admiral, Commander Velthus reported, the final squadron has arrived from the outer territories. All vessels are present and ready for combat operations. Total fleet strength, 512 ships. Zektar nodded with satisfaction. Excellent. Begin final preparations for the assault on the human home world. This time, there will be no half measures. We will demonstrate the full power of the Empire. The Carethian fleet moved into perfect battle formation, their ships arranged in geometric patterns that had been used for centuries. Each vessel knew its position and role in the coming battle. The plan was straightforward: overwhelm human defenses with superior numbers and technology, and demand immediate surrender. But as the alien fleet prepared for departure, sensors detected an unusual energy signature near Proxima's surface. The readings were faint and difficult to analyze, hidden among the star's natural radiation. Zektar ordered a detailed scan, but the results were inconclusive. Probably solar interference, his science officer reported. The star's magnetic field is causing unusual readings throughout the system. Zektar accepted the explanation and ordered the fleet to begin its journey toward Earth. As the massive formation of ships moved away from Proxima, none of them detected the dark shape that had been hiding in the star's corona using solar radiation. To mask its presence, the U.E.'s Leviathan emerged from its hiding place like a predator stalking its prey. Captain Mitchell stood on the bridge, watching the alien fleet move away from the star. His ship had been waiting for 3 days, using Proxima's energy output to hide from enemy sensors. Captain, Commander Lopez reported from her tactical station. The alien fleet is moving toward Earth as predicted. All 500 ships are in close formation. They're following standard fleet movement protocols. Mitchell smiled grimly. The aliens were so confident in their superiority that they hadn't even considered the possibility of human ships in their gathering area. Their formation was perfect for traditional space combat, but created vulnerabilities that human tactics could exploit. All hands, this is the captain, Mitchell announced over the ship's communication system. We are about to engage the enemy. Remember your training. Remember what we're fighting for. Today, we show these aliens what human warfare really looks like. The Leviathan began to accelerate, using the gravity of Proxima to increase its speed, while remaining hidden behind the star. Mitchell's plan was simple in concept, but extremely dangerous in execution. His single ship would attack the entire alien fleet, using surprise and unconventional tactics to cause maximum damage before the aliens could respond. Commander Lopez, Mitchell ordered, prepare kinetic bombardment. Target their command ships. First, let's see how they handle a real human welcome. The battle that would determine the fate of both species was about to begin, and the aliens had no idea that their perfect formation was about to become a trap. The U.E.'s Leviathan moved through space like a dark shadow, using Proxima's gravity to slingshot around the star at incredible speed. Captain Roy Mitchell watched the tactical display as his ship approached the Carethian fleet from behind. The aliens maintained their perfect formation, completely unaware that death was racing toward them at nearly the speed of light. Commander Lopez, Mitchell said quietly, Initiate kinetic bombardment. Target their command vessels first. Fire when ready. Commander Nancy Lopez's fingers moved across her tactical controls with practiced precision. The Leviathan's main weapons were not energy beams or exotic alien technology. They were simple metal rods, each weighing several tons, accelerated to incredible speeds by magnetic launchers. When these projectiles struck a target, they released energy equivalent to nuclear weapons. Firing kinetic rounds, Lopez announced. Impact in 30 seconds. The first wave of projectiles struck Admiral Ziktar's flagship without warning. The Sovereign's Wrath had shields designed to deflect energy weapons and absorb plasma blasts, but the simple metal rods punched through the energy barriers like bullets through paper. The massive Corinthian vessel shuddered as explosions tore. Through its hull, "Admiral!" Commander Velthus shouted over the chaos on the bridge. "We're under attack. Unknown weapon type. Massive hull breaches on decks 7 through 12. Zektar struggled to understand what was happening. His sensors showed no enemy ships in weapons range. The attack seemed to come from empty space. Where are they firing from? He demanded before Velthus could answer. More kinetic rounds struck other Corinthian vessels. 3 heavy cruisers suffered critical damage as the metal projectiles tore through their hulls. The aliens' perfect formation, designed for traditional space combat, made them easy targets for the human weapons. Captain Mitchell opened communications with the alien fleet. His voice echoed across all Corinthian frequencies. "Admiral Zektar, this is Captain Roy Mitchell of the UES Leviathan. You wanted to see how humans wage war. Pay attention." The Leviathan emerged from behind Proxima's disk like a nightmare made real. The massive human warship was larger than any vessel the Corinthians had ever seen, its dark hull seeming to absorb the star's light. Unlike the sleek, ceremonial designs of Corinthian ships, the Leviathan looked like what it was, a machine built for killing. "Impossible," Zektar whispered. "How did they build something so large without our knowledge?" The answer came as more human ships began to reveal themselves throughout the Proxima system. What the Corinthians had assumed were asteroids in space. Debris were actually camouflaged weapons platforms. Mining stations shed their disguises to become missile batteries. Cargo ships transformed into carriers, launching swarms of fighters. Lieutenant Commander Tony Brooks led the first wave of boarding shuttles toward the damaged Corinthian vessels. His Marines wore powered armor that made them look like mechanical demons. Unlike alien boarding parties that sought to capture ships intact, the humans had come to destroy. "Alpha Team, this is Brooks," he transmitted to his assault forces. "Remember, we're not here to take prisoners. Disable their ships by any means necessary. Use whatever works." The human Marines cut through Corinthian hulls with plasma torches and explosive charges. They moved through enemy ships like a virus through a computer system, destroying critical systems and creating chaos. The aliens, trained for honorable combat, had no defense against opponents who fought without rules. "Admiral." Zektar watched his perfect fleet disintegrate around him. The humans attacked from every direction at once, using weapons and tactics that violated every principle of civilized warfare. Worst of all, they seemed to coordinate their assaults with terrifying efficiency. All ships returned fire. Zektar ordered desperately, "Destroy the human vessel." The Corinthian fleet tried to respond, but their weapons were designed for traditional space combat. Energy beams that should have destroyed enemy ships barely scratched the Leviathan's armor. The human vessel had been built to absorb punishment and keep fighting. Commander Lopez launched the second phase of the human attack. "Deploying hunter-killer drones," she announced, targeting enemy engines and life support systems. Thousands of small drones poured from the Leviathan's launch bays. Each one was programmed to find and destroy specific ship systems. They swarmed over Corinthian vessels like angry insects, cutting through hulls and exploding inside critical. Compartments. Captain Mitchell studied the tactical display with grim satisfaction. The alien fleet was losing ships faster than they could adapt to human tactics. Commander, signal all hidden units. Begin full assault. The Proxima system erupted into chaos as every hidden human installation revealed itself. Weapons platforms disguised as mining equipment opened fire on the alien fleet. Fighters launched from asteroid bases that had been invisible to Correthian sensors. Even civilian ships joined the attack, using improvised weapons and ramming tactics. Aliens found themselves fighting not just one human ship, but an entire star system that had been converted into a weapon. Every piece of debris, every asteroid, every communication relay was part of a massive trap that the humans had spent months preparing. Lieutenant, Commander Brooks and his Marines reached the bridge of a Correthian heavy cruiser. The alien crew tried to surrender according to traditional military protocol, but the humans had not come to accept surrender. They planted explosive charges throughout the command center and moved on to the next target. Brooks to all assault teams, he transmitted. Primary objectives achieved. Moving to secondary targets. Keep hitting them until they stop moving. Admiral Zektar realized that his fleet was doomed. The humans fought with a savagery that he had never encountered. They showed no mercy, followed no rules, and seemed determined to destroy every Correthian ship in the system. Commander Valfus, he said quietly, prepare an emergency transmission to the Imperial Council. Tell them that the humans are not like other species. They are predators, and they have turned warfare into an art of destruction. The Sovereign's wrath shuddered again as more kinetic rounds punched through its weakened hull. Fires burned throughout the massive ship, and the smell of smoke filled the bridge. Zektar knew that his flagship was dying. Captain Mitchell opened communications one final time. Admiral Zektar, this is your last chance. Order your remaining ships to withdraw, or we will destroy every vessel in your fleet. Zektar looked around his ruined bridge at the faces of his surviving crew. These were warriors who had conquered 47 star systems using honored military traditions. Now they faced an enemy that fought without honor, without rules, and without mercy. Captain Mitchell, Zektar replied, his voice heavy with defeat. You have shown us a form of warfare that we do not understand. We withdraw, a few surviving. Correthian ships began to retreat toward the edge of the system. They moved slowly, their formations broken, and their crews demoralized. Behind them, the Proxima system burned with the wreckage of the once mighty Imperial fleet. Commander Lopez counted the results of the battle. Captain, enemy casualties. 437 ships destroyed or disabled. 75. Ships retreating. Our losses. Minimal damage to the Leviathan. 12 drone fighters destroyed. Mitchell nodded grimly. The battle was over, but the war had just begun. The aliens would return with different tactics, or other species would hear about human military capabilities and seek to test them. Either way, humanity had announced its presence on the galactic stage in the most dramatic way possible. Open a channel to the retreating ships, Mitchell ordered, all frequencies. His message was broadcast to every surviving Correthian vessel and transmitted toward their home worlds. This is Captain Roy Mitchell of the United Earth Defense Force. Tell your empire that humanity offers one choice, peace or total war. We have shown you the difference. Choose wisely. The Correthian survivors fled into deep space, carrying news that would reshape galactic politics forever. The species that had mastered war had discovered something that truly understood it. Humanity had arrived among the stars, and the galaxy would never be the same. On Earth, President Maria Gonzalez addressed the United Nations for the first time since the alien contact. Fellow humans, she said, today we defended our home against an empire that has conquered dozens of worlds. We did not start this war, but we finished it. Now we must prepare for what comes next. The stars are calling, and humanity will answer. The age of human expansion had begun.